Hello everyone, I welcome you all to Civil Services Achievers Point. Hi Jiaul, I welcome you. Uh, you all can start this current affairs classes for under Mission 1000, but you'll have to wait for a couple of days till the time we will be launching the Mission 1000 officially once the entire registration and verification process is completed. I welcome each and every one of you to Civil Services Achievers Point. Today we'll be talking about the current affairs topics of 5th of August 2021. All right. Uh, I hope my voice is audible enough and it's good to understand. If it is so, please write yes in the comment section. I will just wait for another 30 seconds so that a few of the students can join in. Okay, thank you so much for your comments. So the 5th of August 2021, the Assam Tribunal analysis, we are going ahead. Uh, you know that we have a lot of exciting courses in our application. You all can go through it and subscribe to our courses. Currently, we have also launched the Prelims Capsule Booster course, where we are talking about the most important and probable questions for the upcoming APSC Prelims and UPSC Prelims exam. So the contents that we need to discuss for 5th of August 2021. First, we are discussing two important articles. One is the Indian nationality under Citizenship Amendment Act only after notification of rules, and India's first indigenous aircraft carrier Vikrant begins historic sea trials. All right, so these two are very important news from exam perspective. And then under the editorials, we'll be discussing about the Battle of Alaboy that is lost in pages of history. Okay, so moving ahead with the first important news article that talks about the Indian nationality under Citizenship Amendment Act only after notification of rules. So this topic is very important from GS2 of your mains syllabus, okay, which is applicable for both APSC and UPSC. And this is important from the governance or the constitution or the welfare initiatives, but majorly from the constitution part of syllabus of GS paper 2. So why it is in news? Because recently the union government said that it has no proposal under consideration to further amend the Citizenship Amendment Act, okay, or the Citizenship Amendment Act. Now this act was of 1955, okay. Now many people were in a doubt that this Citizenship Amendment Act may be further amended to add or to give nationality or citizenship to members of other minority communities. Okay, so the government has made it clear that there will be no proposal under consideration to further amend this Citizenship Amendment Act. Okay, now let us understand this issue. You know that since 2019, the Citizenship Amendment Act, before it became an act, the Citizenship Amendment Bill was very much in news, and you can definitely expect a question in the upcoming prelims exam also. So, but let me brief you in small details about that. The issue of citizenship in India is actually covered by two particular things, okay, and that is, one is the Constitution of India, okay, and this part deals with the citizenship issue, okay, till the date of 26th January 1950, okay, from the date when the constitution had started to be implemented. So till that date, that is 26 January 1950, the Constitution of India deals with that who can be the citizen of India, right? Who will get the citizenship and who will not get the citizenship. So one part, it belongs to the Constitution of India, and under Constitution of India it is present in part 2, that is chapter number 2 of our constitution, and article number varies from 5 to 11. Okay, it varies from 5 to 11. So this is one part, and this deal entirely with the population, or sorry, citizenship issue till the time of 26 January 1950. But what happens after the date of 26 January 1950, that is dealt by Citizenship Amendment Act. Okay, the parliament, the constitution has given the power to the parliament to decide on the matters, and based on that, the parliament has passed one act, that is a Citizenship Amendment Act of 1955. All right, and this particular act now deals with that after 26 January 1950, who will get citizenship and whose citizenship will have to be terminated. That is all decided by the Citizenship Amendment Act of 1955. All right, so I hope you understand this part very clearly, that there are two parts. Okay, one is, this is one part, and this is the another part, which is dealing with the citizenship issue in India. Now, this Citizenship Amendment Act of 2019 has actually amended this particular act, that of 1955. Okay, but this was not the only amendment, but there has been substantial number of amendments in the earlier time period also. Okay, so this Citizenship Amendment Act, okay, the one that we are talking about of 2019, it seeks to amend this Citizenship Amendment Act of 1955. All right, so it provides various ways in which citizenship. So what is the Citizenship Amendment Act of 1955 dealing with? It provides various ways. Okay, now what are those ways? Now these things normally we discuss in our constitutional polity static class, but there are various ways through which we can टॉक अबाउट द एक्विजिशन, कि आपको सिटीजनशिप कैसे मिलेगा. ओके, कोई भी मेंबर या फिर कोई भी नॉन सिटीजन अगर इंडिया में आके सिटीजनशिप लेना चाहते हैं, तो हाउ कैन दे गेट द सिटीजनशिप आफ्टर 26 of January 1950? So that is dealt by Citizenship Act of 1955, and under that there are different types of or ways of acquisition. Okay, for example, one is that is by birth. Okay, that you get the citizenship by birth. Now there are certain conditions under that also, कि आपको normally, if you are born in India, you may not get the citizenship. Okay, there are conditions. For example, under this important, there have been a lot of important amendments also. Okay, for example, the first one under acquisition. Okay, if you are born in India, okay, then what is the issue? Okay, so from 26 January 1950, if we talk about, okay, from this particular year, okay, till 1st of July, okay, 1987, what was the issue? That if you are born in India, you will be getting the citizenship of India. As simple as that. Okay, that if anyone, whether the parents of that particular baby is Indian citizen or not, it does not matter. If any baby is born in India, that baby is eligible to get the citizenship of India. It was as simple as that. But then, by the time of 1987, it was realized that what about many foreigners coming to India and giving birth to their baby in India? They are also getting the citizenship, and there can be illegal foreigners, illegal entries happening, or because of illegal immigration, and after they come to India, they give birth to their babies, and those babies are getting the Indian citizenship with so easily. So that was something that was happening as wrong, right? So again, this Citizenship Amendment Act of 1987 took place. Okay, and then from this particular year 1987 to 2002 or something like that. Okay, so the condition was changed, and it was made that at least one parent of the baby has to be an Indian citizen. Okay, at least one parent of the baby has to be an Indian citizen. All right, but again, this was changed with an amendment again in 2002-3. Okay, and the amendment that was brought at this time period was that not only one single parent. Okay, it was about that one parent has to be the Indian has to have the Indian citizen, and the other parent, that is if the father is an Indian but the mother should not be an illegal immigrant. Okay, so this was also added there, because what was noticed after 1987 to 2002 in this time period, that 1%, if they marry someone else from a different country and that the spouse is an illegal immigrant, okay, so then also their baby will not get the Indian citizenship. So it was made stricter with time as the time was passing by. All right, so this is one type of acquisition कि आपको citizenship कैसे मिलेगा after a particular date. And what is the date? 26th of January 1950 कि आपको citizenship कैसे मिलेगा. So there are various types of getting the citizenship. Okay, so that one of them is कि आप अगर आपको आपका जन्म इंडिया में होता है तो आपको इंडियन सिटीजनशिप मिलेगा. लेकिन डिफरेंट टाइम पीरियड्स में डिफरेंट अमेंडमेंट्स आया है अबाउट योर पेरेंट आल्सो, व्हिच इज आल्सो एन इंपॉर्टेंट fact, right? So that is a very, very important part. Similarly, after birth, the second one that we can talk about is your descent. Okay, that through descent. Okay, now what is descent? Now these are all static part of polity. We should not be discussing this part because this is only the current affairs. I'm just giving you some understanding to make your understanding clear enough. Okay, so the second part that we can talk about is about what? It is about the descent. Okay, now what is descent? That, for example, if your father, okay, if your like, just excuse me for 1 minute. Okay, so by descent आप सिंपल टर्म्स में यही समझ सकते हो कि अगर if you are born outside India, okay, first one that we understood was that by birth, if you are born in India, okay, now this descent comes into the picture when any particular children or baby is born outside India. Okay, but what about the parents if they are Indian? Okay, or at least the father is Indian and the mother is not Indian. Okay, then what happens to that particular baby? So again, this Citizenship Act of 1955 deals with this kind of situation. Okay, and the condition was such that from 26 January 1950 till the time period of 1992, okay, the condition was such that if any particular baby is born outside India and the father of that baby is having Indian citizenship, then the baby is also eligible to get the Indian citizenship by the provision of descent, because that baby's father is having the Indian citizenship. All right, but post 1992, this discrimination, this gender discrimination was removed. Okay, and it was made that even if the mother is an Indian citizenship, then also the baby can get the Indian citizenship even if the baby is born outside India. All right, so this amendment was brought in the time period of 1992 in the Citizenship Act of 1955. All right, and after that this continued till the year of around 2004. Okay, because 2004 again there was a 2003 2004 again there was an amendment which came up in the Citizenship Act of 1955, and this amendment said that even if the parents are having Indian citizenship and the baby is born outside India, it does not matter. It will not make it certain that the baby will get Indian citizenship. Okay, why? Because in this 2003-4 amendment, it was made. The changes were made like that within 1 year. Okay, within 1 year, the parents have to go to the Indian consulate of that particular country and they have to register and they have to undertake with a proper signature that they want to give their baby the Indian citizenship, and that they have not accepted the citizenship of any particular other country where the baby has been born. All right, so from 2004, and this is the current scenario even now. If by descent you need to get the Indian citizenship, this is the current scenario which which is followed even now. Okay, so you see that there are different mechanisms by what you get citizenship. One is by birth, one is by descent, third one can be by registration. Okay, fourth one can be by incorporation, and fifth one can be by the process of naturalization. All right, now there are different mechanisms. Now we'll not go into details because this is only about this current affairs class. It will become a very long class. Now first of all, let us come directly into this Citizenship Amendment Act of 2019. Okay, so I just give you a brief understanding what are the what are the different dimensions, that how a citizenship issue is controlled in our country, in India. All right, so let's move ahead. I hope everything is going good. Okay, so this Citizenship Amendment Act, okay, it has provided a lot of changes. Okay, and we will talk about these changes in a bit detailed manner, so that if it is asked in the exam, you can easily solve the questions. All right, so it provides for citizenship by birth, we have already mentioned here, by descent, registration, naturalization, and by incorporation of the territory in India. For example, when Sikkim was incorporated into India, okay, originally Sikkim was not a part of India. Or for example, Goa was originally a part of Portugal, it was captured by Portuguese, okay, and then finally, once India has incorporated the territory, then all the citizens of those particular areas became a citizen of India. Okay, so in addition, it regulates the registration of overseas citizen of India also, okay, and their rights. So who is an ACI and OCI is actually entitled to some other benefits, like with the one single registration they can do multiple entries. Okay, but if you are not an overseas citizen of India, okay, then you cannot do multiple entries with one particular permission. Okay, you have to issue the visa as many number of times, as many number of times you want to enter into a country. Okay, then multi-purpose lifelong visa is allotted to the OCI. So this kind of benefits are given, okay, who are overseas citizen of India, but uh, currently they are not staying in India. And there is also a concept of person of Indian origin. Okay, so these things, if you're not clear, you can subscribe to our foundation course where we have taught in details about these concepts. So anyways, moving ahead, this Amendment Act has also defined who is an illegal immigrant, because uh, it has tried to uh, discriminate the illegal migrants, okay, and they are prohibited from acquiring Indian citizenship. So an illegal immigrant is a foreigner who either enters India illegally without a valid travel document, जिसके पास travel document नहीं है, like visa हो गया या फिर passport हो गया, or enters India legally but stays, कि मान लीजिए कि 3 महीने के लिए उनको visa दिया गया है, but they are staying even after completion of their time period of visa. Okay, so 3 महीने के बाद अगर वो लोग रह रहे हैं यहाँ पे, so they will be considered as illegal migrant. Okay, and then they can be prosecuted and in India, and they can be reported back, or they can be jailed or imprisoned. Okay, so in September 2015 and July 2016, the government exempted certain groups of illegal migrants, okay, from being imprisoned or deported. तो सरकार ने क्या किया कि certain group of illegal immigrants को इस condition से बाहर निकाल दिया. Okay, and who are this? They are persons coming from 3 countries. Okay, as per the Citizenship Amendment Act, they are the countries coming from 3 countries: Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan. ठीक है, लेकिन अगर वो लोग December 31st 2014 से पहले आया है, तभी ये एप्लीकेबल होगा कि उन लोगों को अरेस्ट नहीं किया जाएगा, उन लोगों को सिटीजनशिप दिया जाएगा आफ्टर दैट. ओके, बट देयर इज वन मोर कंडीशन, दैट दे हैव टू बिलोंग to this particular religions like Hindu, Sikh, Buddhism, Jainism, Parsi or Christian religious minorities. Islam is not there. Why? Because these 3 countries, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, are majorly Islam majority countries, and the other minority communities. Okay, these are the minority communities in this particular 3 countries where they are being uh, discriminated, or they are being prosecuted on the ground of religious issues. And that is why the government has given the justification that these people coming before 31st December 2014 will be given the citizenship. Okay, so what are the key provisions of this Amendment Act? That I have already explained it to you. okay, and they must be exempted from the Foreigners Act of 1946 and Passport Entry into India Act of 1922. So these are some of the acts pre-independence time period, even during when the Britishers were ruling India, and इसमें भी ये इसके हिसाब से जो conditions था, this will be now exempted for this particular group of people. All right. So the citizenship by regulation or naturalization. Okay, तो इसमें प्रोसेस ऐसा होता है कि अगर आप रजिस्ट्रेशन की खुद आके आप रजिस्टर करने चाहते हो, यू वांट टू टेक द सिटीजनशिप ऑफ इंडिया, ऑलराइट, सो इन दैट केस व्हाट हैपेंस कि आपके पास पहले क्या होता था कि आपको 11 साल, ओके, यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है कि आप देख सकते हो, फॉर इंस्टेंस इफ अ पर्सन रिसाइड्स इन इंडिया फॉर अ ईयर एंड इफ वन ऑफ हिज पेरेंट्स इज अ फॉर्मर इंडियन सिटीजन ही मे अप्लाई फॉर सिटीजनशिप बाय रजिस्ट्रेशन। ओके, कि मान लीजिए उन एक बच्चा का पेरेंट इंडियन सिटीजनशिप है उनका, बट उनका बर्थ हुआ था कोई दूसरा कंट्री यूएस में, और वहां पे उन लोगों ने बच्चा का सिटीजनशिप नहीं लिया, ठीक है। सो अगर आपको उस वैसे बच्चा को अगर आपको सिटीजनशिप देना है, then that person has to reside in India for a year, and if one of his parents is a former Indian citizen, तो एक एटलीस्ट एक पेरेंट को फॉर्मर इंडियन सिटीजनशिप रहना पड़ेगा, and then that person can apply for registration. Through registration, that person can apply for citizenship. So to obtain the citizenship by naturalization, one of the qualification is that the person must have resided in India or have been in service of the central government for at least 11 years. तो नेचुरलाइज मतलब ये नेचुरल प्रोसेस कि आप 11 साल से इंडिया में हो, या फिर इंडिया में सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में कोई सर्विसेज में आप एनरोल हो, बट आपके पास इंडियन सिटीजनशिप नहीं है, तो नेचुरली यू कैन गेट द सिटीजनशिप आफ्टर द एप्लीकेशन। ओके, लेकिन ये जो बिल है, okay, ये जो बिल है सिटीजनशिप अमेंडमेंट बिल, now it has been already passed and it has become an act. Now this has changed this condition of 11 years to only 5 years. Okay, it has reduced it will reduce to 5 years. Okay, कि आप अगर 5 साल हो इंडिया में, okay, that is why 2014 तक लागू किया, 14 plus 5 is 2019, and 2019 में ही बिल आ गया है। Okay, so on acquiring citizenship, these people will be deemed to be the citizens of India. Okay, once they gain the citizenship through the process of naturalization, कि आप 5 साल रह चुके हो इंडिया में, तो आपको इंडिया का सिटीजनशिप मिल जाएगा, प्रोवाइडेड आप जो मेंशन किया था इन रिलीजन से बिलोंग करते हो, या फिर आप प्रोवाइडेड इन तीनों कंट्री से 31 दिसंबर 2014 से पहले ही इंडिया में घुस चुके हो, ठीक है। So all legal proceedings against them in respect of their illegal migration or citizen will be closed. Okay, तो उससे पहले अगर इस रेस्पेक्ट में उन लोगों के नाम पे अगर कुछ भी इलीगल इमिग्रेशन के नाम पे कुछ केसेस वगैरह था, तो वो सब क्या होगा, क्लोज हो जाएगा। ओके, सो एप्लीकेबिलिटी ऑफ दिस अमेंडमेंट एक्ट। नाउ इस अमेंडमेंट एक्ट का एप्लीकेबिलिटी कहाँ कहाँ है उसको हम लोग देख लेते हैं। दिस प्रोविजंस ऑन सिटीजनशिप फॉर इलीगल इमिग्रेंट्स विल नॉट अप्लाई टू द ट्राइबल एरियाज, ठीक है। तो असम का जो ट्राइबल एरिया है, मेघालय, मिजोरम एंड त्रिपुरा, ओके, सो दिस आर एक्चुअली Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya, and Mizoram. These 4 states are actually protected under the Schedule 6 of the Constitution of India. I hope you know this. And is this particular sixth schedule, okay, is also implemented and exempted from this particular amendment act. So these tribal areas include Karbi Anglong in Assam, Garo Hills in Meghalaya, Chakma district in Mizoram, Tripura tribal areas district. All right. So further, it will not apply to the inner line areas notified under the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation of 1873. In fact, this is also one of the notification because of which the Assam Mizoram border clash is also happening. And in these areas, visits by Indians are regulated through the inner line permit. Okay, so इस जगह से now ये जो inner line permit issue दिया गया था under this notification of Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation 1873 में, ठीक है। तो इसके अंदर ये परमिट सिस्टम का अरुणाचल प्रदेश में एप्लीकेबल है, मिजोरम में एप्लीकेबल है, और नागालैंड में भी एप्लीकेबल है। And Manipur has also brought under the inner line permit regime through a gazette notification on the same day the bill was passed in the parliament. So abhi ke as of now, this amendment act of Citizenship Act of 1955 will not be applicable in all these states like Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Manipur, and also the tribal areas of the four states mentioned under the sixth schedule of Constitution of India, and those are Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and Tripura. Okay, so I hope you have understood this point very clearly. Then cancellation of registration of OCIs, overseas citizens of India. The Act provides that the central government may cancel the registration of the OCIs on certain grounds under this. And this includes if the OCI is registered through fraud. अगर आप फ्रॉजरी मीन्स के थ्रू आप OCI रजिस्ट्रेशन किए हो तो आपका कैंसिलेशन होगा. If within 5 years of registration the OCI has been sentenced to imprisonment for 2 years or more, कि आप को सिटीजनशिप मिलने के मतलब आपको ओसीआई मिलने के बाद अगर 5 साल के विद इन आपको 2 साल के लिए आपका जेल हो चुका है तो यू विल बी रिमूव्ड. एंड इफ इट बिकम्स नेसेसरी इन द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ सॉवरेनिटी एंड सिक्योरिटी ऑफ इंडिया, कि अगर इंडिया का सॉवरेनिटी प्रोटेक्ट और प्रमोट करने के लिए, इंडिया का सिक्योरिटी प्रमोट करने के लिए अगर आपको रिमूव किया जा सकता है. The bill adds one more ground for cancelling the registration, that is, if the OCI has violated the provisions of the Act or any law as notified by the central government. अगर violation करते हो आप एक्ट का तो obviously your registration will be cancelled. And the orders for cancellation of OCI should be passed till the OCI cardholder is given an opportunity to be heard. Okay, so ये definitely है वहाँ पे. Now, what are the concerns against this Amendment Act? All right. So, if you see the concerns against the Amendment Act, so नॉर्थ ईस्ट में काफी इश्यूज है, जैसे असम अकॉर्ड ऑफ 1985. और ये जो असम अकॉर्ड ऑफ 1985 है, ओके, इसमें स्टेटमेंट था कि इलीगल माइग्रेंट्स इररेस्पेक्टिव ऑफ रिलीजन, okay, heading in from Bangladesh after March 25, 1971 would be deported. So this Assam Accord, okay, Assam Accord, which was signed between Rajiv Gandhi and the leaders of Ahom Gana Parikhod, okay, so they had signed this particular Assam Accord, but now the problem is this does not have any constitutional support. Okay, and that is why this was simply an executive order, and any constitutional amendment or constitutional act can easily bypass any executive order. So the people of Assam, though we have protested for so many years, more than 30 years, but we never protested to or we never talked to get this Assam Accord a constitutional status. Okay, then because if it would have been getting a constitutional status, then definitely Assam Accord, okay, and the clash with the Citizenship Amendment Act could not have been accepted so easily. All right, so that is one of the major issue, that Assam Accord and the Citizenship Amendment Act is both in contradiction, and people of Assam is talking about implementing the Assam Accord in its real sense, which will not be possible now because of the violation of this particular point. Critics further argue that the extensive exercise of updating the NRC will become null and void due to this Amendment Act. That is also obvious, because in NRC the simple reason was to find out the illegal immigrants. But again, here, if the persons are coming from this particular religion, from this particular three countries, even if their name is not in NRC, they will be getting the citizenship. So then what is the use or purpose of conducting the NRC? Okay, the third one, that there are an estimated 20 million illegal Bangladeshi migrants in Assam, and 20 million means around 2 crores. Okay, and they have inalienably altered the demography of the state because of their high growth of population rate. Okay, and besides putting a severe strain on the state's resources and economy. Definitely जितना population बढ़ेगा उतना ही उस population का pressure over the land or over the resources or over the economy will increase. And critics argue that this particular Amendment Act is also violating Article 14, because here everyone is not being treated equally. Okay, but again, Article 14 is not absolute in nature, it is qualified in nature. It can impose some reasonable restrictions. Okay, and the critics also say that the principle of secularism, which is a basic structure doctrine of our Indian constitution enshrined in the preamble, also has been violated. India has several other refugees that include Tamils from Sri Lanka, Hindu Rohingya from Myanmar, and they are not covered under the Act. Okay, so it will be difficult for the government to differentiate between illegal migrants and those persecuted. So the bill throws the light on the religious oppression that has happened and is happening in these three countries, and thus may worsen or bilateral ties with them. All right, so this is something that you can go through it. Apart from that, the government stand This was the critic stand. If we talk about the government stand, the government has clarified that Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh are Islamic republics that I told you in the initial part of this discussion, where Muslims are in majority and hence they cannot be treated as or as persecuted minorities. Okay, so that is the justification that the government has given, and to some extent it is also right. According to the government, this bill aims at granting rather than taking away someone's citizenship. तो ये जो bill है ये grant कर रहा है citizenship. It is not taking away anyone's citizenship. It is assured that the government will examine the application from any other community on a case to case basis. तो other community से भी आएंगे तो case to case, because naturalization हो सकता है with for other religion also. But this act जो अगर आप इस्लाम धर्म से आते हो from Bangladesh for example, okay, and if you are going through naturalization process, you can still get a citizenship. Okay, but if you have to stay for 11 years or you have to work in the central government services for 11 years. But अगर आप Hindu, Parsi, okay, Jews, Buddhism, Jainism is in the religion से belong करते हो और अगर आप अफगानिस्तान, पाकिस्तान और बांग्लादेश से बिलोंग करते हो, देन आपको 5 साल में नेचुरलाइजेशन मतलब जल्दी आपका नेचुरलाइजेशन हो जाएगा and you will get a citizenship. That is the benefit you are getting. Okay, government has cited the partition of India or on religious lines and subsequent failure of Nehru Liaquat Pact of 1950 in protecting the rights and dignity of the minorities in Pakistan and Bangladesh as the reasons for bridging this bill. So the government has also given quite important justification about the failure of the Nehru Liaquat, and the partition itself had taken place on the religious grounds. And after independence, not once but India twice conceded that the minorities in its neighborhood are its responsibility. Okay, similarly, day before yesterday or yesterday, we are getting some videos of temples getting destructed in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Okay, so this should not happen. At least in India, this kind of things will never happen. Okay, and the present government under Narendra Modi Prime Ministership has already said that the most important international relationship diplomacy is about the neighborhood first policy. Okay, and that is why it is India's responsibility to protect the minorities in the neighborhood area. And first, immediately after partition, okay, Indira Muji Pact in 1972, when India had agreed to absorb over 1.2 million refugees. Now, it is a historical fact that on both occasions it was only the Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, and Christians who had come over to Indian side. Okay, so this is a very important development. Apart from that, if you can also talk about the Nrc issue, okay, because Nrc and Citizenship Amendment Act was there in news for a great time period, and this Nrc, okay, 1951 is a registered prepared after the conduct of census of 1951. So Nrc has not been conducted, okay, like for the first time now. The Nrc was published only once in 1951 also. Similarly, if we talk about simultaneous election, जो अभी डिबेट में चल रहा था कुछ महीने पहले कि साइमल्टेनियस इलेक्शन इंडिया में पहला बार के बारे में डिस्कस नहीं किया जा रहा, ये पहले से 1951 से पहले से ही था ये टिल 1967. ओके, साइमल्टेनियस इलेक्शन मतलब एमएलए एमपी इलेक्शन एक साथ होता था. ओके, 1967 के बाद कुछ लाइक कोऑर्डिनेशन ब्रेक हो गया था बिकॉज ऑफ जनता पार्टी प्रेशर ग्रुप कमिंग अप. ओके, एंड सेंट्रल और स्टेट में काफी सारे चेंजेस आ गए थे. सो दैट इज व्हाई आफ्टर 1967 द सिंगल इलेक्शन कुड नॉट बी फॉलोड. सो एनआरसी इन असम आप इसको पढ़ सकते हो. ओके, दिस इज लाइक वी ऑल नो व्हाट इज एनआरसी इशू. ओके, इट सेट्स मार्च 25 1971. लेकिन सिटीजनशिप अमेंडमेंट एक्ट ऑफ 2019 सेट्स which particular date? It is not 1971 but it is your December 31st 2014. Okay, so these both are again contradicting each other. All right, NRC and Citizenship Amendment Act. So that is what it is already mentioned here. You can give a reading. Now the next important news that we'll talk about, the first news took a lot of time. Okay, the next important news that we can talk about is about the Vikrant. All right, let's move ahead with the next important news. And why this Vikrant is in news, if we talk about, Okay, so India's first indigenous, okay, this is the first indigenous, and I have been already talking about this in our prelims booster course. In fact, today we have the class on international organizations. Okay, I had already taken a class on defense and security. आप kindly हमारे prelims booster course अगर आप इस साल prelims दे रहे हो, you please take the subscription in your app. It is definitely going to help you a lot, okay, in your revision, and also making you comfortable with some of the most important topics of the exam. Okay, so now if we talk about the, so मैं ये बोल रहा था कि I have already taken the defense and the missiles class. Please refer to that video. And secondly, we are also coming up with the important lecture series on space and satellites. Okay, space and satellites. So this will be again another important topic from where you can expect questions in the exam. So Vikrant is in news because India, it is the India's first indigenous aircraft carrier. Okay, ये एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर है, एक बहुत बड़ा जहाज है इंडियन नेवी का, जिसमें आप एरोप्लेन, ओके, फाइटर जेट्स टेक ऑफ और लैंडिंग दोनों कर सकते हो. एंड ड्यूरिंग द मेडन सेलिंग द शिप्स परफॉर्मेंस इंक्लूडिंग हल, मेन propulsion and auxiliary equipment was closely watched. Now features थोड़ा देख लेते हैं. INS विक्रांत is 262 meters long and 62 meters at its widest, तो काफी बड़ा है, आप देख सकते हो. And 59 meters high, okay, including a superstructure. There are 14 decks. The ship has over 2,300 compartments. Now, these things won't be asked in the exam, don't worry. And around 1,700 people working as crew members in the ship of Vikrant. Okay, specialized cabins वगैरह भी है, ठीक है. And INS Vikrant has a top speed of around 28 knots and cruising speed of 18 knots. Okay, so this knots, this unit is actually calculated to measure the speed of any particular object flowing in the ocean or the sea water. Okay, so with an endurance of about 7,500 nautical miles, so मतलब ये 7,500 nautical miles तक जा सकता है. Then again, nautical miles is actually the distance, okay, the unit for the distance in water. And I think one nautical mile should be around equal to your 1.86 miles or something like that. Okay, so you please refer to this important figure, which can be definitely asked in the exam. The ship can accommodate an assortment of fixed wing and rotary aircraft designed by the India's Navy. So this is an indigenously developed. I have already told you this is the first indigenously developed aircraft carrier, and that is why it is getting a lot of prominence. All right. So it was designed by the Indian Navy's Directorate of Naval Design. The carrier has been built at Cochin Shipyard Limited, a public sector shipyard under the Ministry of Shipping and Ports, of which our very own ex-Chief Minister of Assam, the Sarbananda Sonowal, is the minister there. Okay. So लेकिन इसका ये INS विक्रांत का कैरियर कहाँ बनाया गया है? ओके, पूरा वेसल का वो आपका बनाया गया है कोचिन शिपयार्ड लिमिटेड. सो प्लीज सी दिस पॉइंट वेरी वेरी केयरफुली. All right. So this is how it looks like. You can see here at present India has only one aircraft carrier, and that is the Russian origin INS Vikramaditya. Okay, so that was originated by the Russian origin, and that is your INS Vikramaditya. And just give me 1 second. We'll take a small break here. Okay, we'll take a small break of just 1 minute, and then we'll continue. So please stay there in the class itself. Don't go anywhere. We'll just take a small break of. I'll drink some water, and then we'll again continue. All right, I'm back, and let's continue with the important news that we were discussing about. So we were talking about the first indigenous aircraft carrier of India, and we were talking about INS Vikrant, which has begun the historic sea trials. So we discussed about the important features of the INS Vikrant and along with why it is in news. And at present, India has only one aircraft carrier, okay, which you can see here, and that is the Russian origin INS Vikramaditya, okay, and the INS Vikramaditya is the country's most powerful aircraft carrier. So this is a very, very important news for your upcoming prelims. It was built in 1987 and had served the Soviet Navy named as Baku. Okay, so when it was serving the Soviet Navy, it was named as Baku, and it was later renamed as Admiral Gorshkov under the Russian Navy. The Indian Navy purchased this vessel in 2004 and commissioned it in November 2013. Okay, it can carry over 30 aircraft. Okay, this can carry over 30 aircraft comprising MiG 29Ks, Kamov 28S, Kamov 31S, ALH Dhruv, these are helicopters, and the Chetak helicopters. It was retrofitted with a Barak missile system under joint development with Israel. Now, what is a Barak missile? I've already discussed this in the prelims capsule booster course in our defense and missile class. If anyone have not subscribed to our prelims booster course, I request you to, if you're interested and if you're preparing for this upcoming prelims, you can subscribe to our course, which is present in our application, and the link of the app has been already given in this description box. Okay, to download the app, which is available both in Play Store as well as in Apple iStore. And it is based on its home port at Karwar in Karnataka. All right, so these are few informations about the INS Vikramaditya, a very important one. Okay, and the other details you can just go through it. I have already mentioned it to you. Okay, now this is INS Vikramaditya has been purchased from Russia, but INS Vikrant is an first indigenous aircraft carrier that India itself is developing it. All right, so this becomes really important for your upcoming exam. Next, moving ahead to the important editorial of 5th August 2021, Battle of Alaboy, which is lost in pages of history. Okay, so the Buronjis record that on 27th Sravan, that is 1591 Saka, okay, or August 5, 1669, in the Battle of Alaboy between the Mughals, led by Raja Ram Singh and the soldiers of Assam. 10,000 soldiers of Assam lost their lives. Okay, so this is related to Assam, and this becomes again important for your prelims exam. Battle of Alaboy, and this was between the Assam soldiers of and the Mughals, and fought during the year of 1669. That is the 17th century. So, in popular memory, this military disaster was overshadowed by the Ahom victory in the naval battle of Saraighat in 1671. Locals claimed that these were the moidams of the Alaboy martyrs. All right. So, इसके बाद 1671 में Ahoms had got the victory, and this defeat was overshadowed by the Ahom victory. Okay. So बैकग्राउंड अगर हम थोड़ा सा देखते हैं इसमें, अहोम मुगल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट चल रहा था फ्रॉम योर टाइम 1615 to 1639. The Bornodi and the Osurar Ali on the north and south banks respectively became the boundary between the territories. Allah Yar Khan, okay, was appointed a Mughal Faujdar of Kamrup at that time period. So please try to remember this name. Mughals was led by during this battle of Alaboy by Raja Ram Singh. Okay, during this first Ahom Mughal conflict of 1615 to 1639, Allah Yar Khan was appointed as a Mughal Faujdar of Kamrup with headquarters at Guwahati, and the conflict was renewed in 1657 after the Ahoms occupied Guwahati, taking advantage of the war of succession following Shah Jahan's death. Okay, so Shah Jahan का death हो गया था उस time, and उसके बाद regarding when the succession was going on, the Ahoms had taken the advantage during that time period, and they had also defeated the Koch king occupying the Koch territories. Thus, Ahoms became the masters of the entire Brahmaputra Valley by this time period, But after Aurangzeb became the Mughal emperor, the Mughals under Mir Jumla again invaded and occupied Coach Bihar in Assam in 1662. Okay, so who was the important person? So please remember this important person's name, Allah Yar Khan. Okay, during the first Ahom Mughal conflict during the time period of 1615 to 1639, Raja Ram Singh during the Battle of Alaboy, then Mir Jumla, okay, he had taken the initiative during this time under the leadership of Aurangzeb, and in January 1663, peace was concluded. Then during the reign of Swargadev Sakradhwaj Singha, okay, the conflict, and you should be knowing that the great Lachit Borphukan, okay, he got the title of Borphukan under which Ahom king ruler? If this question is asked, your answer will be Sakradhwaj Singha. And the conflict was renewed as the Ahoms violated the peace treaty that was signed, and then it was led by the prime minister from on Ahom side by Otanu Burhagohai. The Ahoms were preparing for war and producing war materials. In 1667, General Lachit Borphukan recovered Guwahati as recorded in the inscriptions at North Guwahati and Fotakhil Ambari. Due to its topography, Guwahati was found eminently suitable for defensive warfare and became the headquarters of the Borphukan. Okay, so Guwahati, because of its topography and the hills, okay, so it became really a very suitable position for to defend the Mughal attack, and the headquarter was also, that is why, selected and suitably located at Guwahati, and it became the headquarters of the Borphukan. So in the 19th century, okay, Montgomery Martin wrote, Guwahati occupies an extent of the hilly country on both banks of the great stream. So if you see Guwahati, okay, from Brahmaputra, both North Guwahati and South Guwahati, there are many hills present in and around the city. And the later is a reference to the network of gores, that is defensive ramparts. Okay, gore means small made hilly type tilas, and constructed during the conflict with the Mughals. Okay, so Aurangzeb sent an imperial army under Raja Ram Singh again to recover Assam. It reached Rongamati on February 1669, and afterwards Haju. Okay, so they had reached till Haju, and the Mughals failed to take Saraighat and proceeded towards Dorong. Lachit Borphukan realized that the Ahom army would not be able to defeat the Mughals in the open field and sought to lure the Mughals to Guwahati, where they were strongly entrenched. So it was the calculation of, and it was a strategy of Lachit Borphukan to lure them towards Guwahati because of the suitable topography. Okay, because Dorong and this side, this particular area was open field, and in the open field, it would have been very difficult to defeat the Mughals by the Ahoms, and that is what sometimes, even if you are not well equipped, okay, even if you are not having the best technology, still you can win with some good strategy. Okay, and that is why even if you're not very good in studies, even if you have got third division in metric, does not matter, you can easily crack civil service exams if you develop a good strategy, and the strategy and the planning part becomes really important, which can be learned from this part of history of Assam. So the Buranjis provide details of the diplomatic exchanges between Lachit Borphukan and Raja Ram Singh, that and the record that Ram Singh demanded that Lachit hand over Guwahati to the Mughals. ठीक है, राम सिंह ने डिमांड किया था कि लाचित बोरफुकन को आप गुवाहाटी मुगल्स को हैंड ओवर कर दो, restoring the old boundary of 1639. But Lachit replied that Guwahati did not belong to the Mughals and that the Ahoms had occupied it by fighting the Koch. Okay, so there was a befitting reply from Lachit Borphukan, and it was by a stroke of ill luck that the Mughals had occupied it for a few days. Okay, so uske baad battle hua, and you can see that there were numerous skirmishes between the two camps. Ahom avoided combat in the open plains. ठीक है, open plain field में Ahom ने combat को avoid किया because उनको पता था अपने weakness के बारे में. And the war of nerves lasted nearly 2 years, and Ahom king became impatient. उसके बाद Ram Singh have failed to win over the Ahom commanders with the promise of wealth, tried to create dissension among them. And जैसे ही monsoon आया, flood आया, hostilities ceased for a while. ठीक है, obviously you cannot fight when the Brahmaputra is filled with a lot of water. And Pelan Charingya Fukan secretly informed the Ghorakuor that the situation was propitious to defeat the Mughals, but the Lachit was unwilling to launch an offensive. Okay? So Gorakhpur relayed this message to the Ahom king at Gorgaon, who immediately ordered that Lachit attack the Mughals. Okay? So this person called as Pelan Charingya Fukan, he secretly informed the Gorakhpur that this flood situation is very propitious to in order to defeat the Mughals. Okay, but Lachit Barfukan was initially not very willing to uh, launch that offensive against the Mughals. Okay, but Gorakhpur relayed this message to the Ahom king of that time period at Gorgaon, and Lachit, and it was ordered the Lachit, okay, ordered given to Lachit Borfukan to attack the Mughals. And Gorakhpur then hastened to Guwahati and told the Borfukan, Swargadev has ordered that you must attack the Mughals at once by land and by water, by both the means. Lachit said the entire Mughal army is concentrated in one place and it is on the alert. It would be difficult to save ourselves if we disturb the hornet's nest. And but when Swargadev himself has ordered me, what have I to say? Okay, तो ये बोलने के बाद on 27th 1591, that is this particular year, okay, the Dikhom Mukhia and Nam Daingya and Opor Daingya Rajquas to attack the Mughal army camped near the Alabo hill, that is between Brahmaputra and the Sesa river, and that is why it is known as the Battle of Alaboy. And the home soldiers came out of their forts in the early hours of the morning and looted some markets in the area. Lachit resorted to misdirection, and his spies managed to convince the Rajput general that the Ahom army was only 20,000 strong. Ram Singh dispatched a force of 10,000 soldiers under the command of, who was the commander? Mir Nawab. Okay, एक बहुत fierce battle then it took place. And the first three lines of the Ahom army suffered heavy casualties. Lachit Barfukan ordered his soldiers to dig trenches. ठीक है, इस बार trenches बनाने के लिए उन्होंने बोला and bide their time. And when the fourth line of Ahom army was decimated, the Mughals were surprised by the men in trances who fought fiercely. They sought to retreat via the river Brahmaputra but failed. The Mughals पीछे जाने की कोशिश किया via Brahmaputra but they failed. And the commander Mir Nawab was captured. ठीक है, तो initially Battle of Alaboy में पहला 3 lines of Ahom army had to face a lot of casualties because of the difficulties which Lachit Borfukan had already warned. But since the order came from the Swargadev, from the ruler, from the king, so definitely it had to be followed. And during the fourth line of attack from the Ahom side, Lachit Borfukan came out with a new strategy कि आपको trenches बनाना चाहिए. Trenches मतलब वो गद्दा बोल सकते हो आप, ठीक है, और वहाँ पे आप like you will hide in those trenches, and when the Mughals will come near, and then you will fight and fiercely fight them and defeat them. And that exactly happened, and the Mir Nawab was also captured. So the victorious Ahom army was returning to their forts when Ram Singh ordered the Rajput cavalry to mount again and another attack. So Ahom's victory पाके वो लोग वापस आ रहे थे, but again राजा राम सिंह ने फिर से राजपूत कैवलरी को बोला कि नहीं, फिर से दोबारा अटैक करो. एंड इक्विप्ड विद यंत्रास, दैट इज द वार मशीन्स, ओके, बहुत बड़ा बड़ा शील्ड के साथ the Rajput cavalry swung into action, and the Ahom army was taken by surprise this time. Or 10,000 Ahomia soldiers lay dead on the plains of Alaboy, and the rest retreated back into their forts. So the Borfukan was sorely disheartened by the loss of his brave men and lamented. So what Borfukan said, Lachit Borfukan had said or warned, that exactly happened. And for us, there was a statement that one soldier is like one elephant. And in our action, we always consider the consequences, lest any harm might come to a single soldier. Okay, we already have several big engagements, but we have not lost so many men in them. And today, so many have been lost only for a trifle. So this then was the story of Alaboy, a battle confined to the pages of Buranjis, forgotten by the people of Assam till the discovery of the graves of those who had participated in this battle nearly 350 years ago. Alright, so that is the brief details about the Battle of Alaboy. That is very important again from APSC. We have discussed very important topics. INS Vikrant to Citizenship Amendment Act and Battle of Alaboy. You can, if you have not taken or subscribed to our hard copies or soft copies of our smart books for prelims and mains, you can download our app and you can get it, or you can call at the given number if you want it to be delivered or couriered to your place. Okay, courier facilities are also available of our study materials, very beautifully drafted and which are very important for your revision for your upcoming exams. There are the prelims practice questions for today. You can go through it. You can pause the screen and comment your answers in the comment box, and then later on check the answers at the later part of the slides. Okay, we've asked the question on cyclone Taukte. Recently, it had come. All right, we have asked the question on Indian Coast Guard. Very important. International Space Station. Very important topic. Okay, then citizenship issue. Okay, because we had discussed about Citizenship Act today. And then, which of the following Ahom king introduced a Buronji written in Assam? Okay, so these are very important questions. The answers have been given here, and there is also one mains practice question. Examine the vulnerabilities and preparedness of India with respect to coastal security. A very, very important topic. The answers have been given here. As of now, I'm not discussing the answers, but after prelims, I'll also discuss the model answers with you. You've already given the model answers. You can go through it and start practicing answer writing if you are thorough with your prelims preparation. Okay, that is what we had to share from 5th of August 2021. I hope you enjoyed this class, and you are definitely, I hope you are benefited from this particular class of current affairs, the daily current affairs analysis. So please keep studying hard and take care of yourself, stay safe, and let's meet in the next class of 6th of August 2021. Thank you and have a great evening.